All right, class. Today we're going to learn how to factor. In this case, we're going to be factoring trinomials. In particular, we're going to factor x squared minus 7x plus 12. That's what we're going to factor. All right, so we have 3 steps. First step, you want to identify A, B, and C. That's what we're going to do first. Identify A, B, and C. You can find A by looking at x squared, and whatever the coefficient of x squared is, that's what A is. There's nothing in front of x squared. So we can put a 1 there. That means our A value is 1. Okay? We see the coefficient, so that's A. So our B value is found as the coefficient of x, and it has a minus 7. So that's what our x value, that's what our B value is going to be. So B is going to be -7. All right? And our C value is just this constant term here. There's a plus in front of it, so we can just say C is equal to 12. Okay? So that's the first thing we're going to do. Right? Second thing we're going to do is we're going to fill, I want to write fine, in the X. So we're going to make a big old X. That's big enough. And we're going to fill it in. Give myself a little more room there. Okay. So what we're going to fill in with? Well, here I need A times C to go there, and I need B to go there. A times C. What is A? A is 1, B is C is 12. So 1 times 12 is 12, so A times C is 12. 12 is going to go here. B is -7 from right there. So we're going to put a -7 there. All right. So the question is, what goes here and here? That's our step 3. We need to find 2 numbers that work. What do I mean by work? Well, whatever these numbers is they need to multiply to get 12, which is AC, and then they got to add to get -7. So let's find all the numbers that multiply to get 12 and pick 2 of which ones add to give us -7. All right. So that means if I got 12 here, I can do 1 times 12. I can do 2 times 6. I can do 3 times 4. And after that, it just repeats. If I add these, 1 plus 12 is 13. That doesn't help. 2 plus 6 is 8. Not quite 7. And then 3 plus 4 is 7. So I kind of like this. I definitely like this. Only problem is I need to get a -7. But since I got a +7 here, if I make this 3 negative, then 4 negative, then that's going to give me a -7. Well, what about the +12? If I multiply the -3 and a -4, I'll still get a +12. So I have found the 2 numbers that work. They are -3 and -4. So how does that give us our answer? Well, this -3 here is going to give me a factor x minus 3. This 4 is going to give me the factor x minus 4. So that tells me the answer is x squared minus 7x plus 12 is equal to x minus 3 times x minus 4. And that is our answer. Okay, in our second example, we're going to factor this trinomial. 2x squared minus 3x minus 20. That's what we're going to do. Okay. First step, let's find or identify A, B, C. A is coefficient of x squared, so we're going to make that 2. B is the coefficient of x, so we're going to make that -3. And -20 is C value. It's not a coefficient, it's a constant. There. All right. The next step, we are going to fill in x, or the x. That's what we're going to do. We're going to fill in the x. So I'm going to draw an x, and what needs to go right here is AC. What needs to go here is B. Let's find AC. AC is A times C. So A is 2. C is a -20. When we multiply those, we're going to get a -40. That's going to go right there. B, we already know, is -3, so we're just going to put that there. All right? So now, let's go on to step 3. And look, we said we're going to find two numbers that work. Okay? Find two numbers. But I always do that. Two numbers that work. All right. What do I mean by work? These two numbers, they multiply. They got to multiply to get AC, which is 40, -40. But then you have to add them, the same two numbers, to get a -3. That's what we got to find. So we're going to find the factors of -40 and find which two of these factors will add to get us -3. And since it's a -40, one of them needs to be positive, one needs to be negative. So let's find the factors of -40. Let's list them. Well, I'm going to use a -40 times 1. Let's do that. And then we can also do a -20 times 2. We can also do a -10 times 4. And we can do a -8 times 5. We can do all those. And we could keep on going, but we'll just start there. Now, let's find their sum. What happens if I add 40 and -40 and a positive 1? I want to get a -39. What if I add a -20 and a positive 2? That's going to give me a -18. What number am I looking for? I need to get a -3. That's what I'm looking for. So what if I add -10 and a positive 4? I get a -6. Getting closer. And then negative 8, positive 5, add those. That's what I want, right there. All right, so if my two numbers are negative 8 and positive 5, they are negative 8 and positive 5. So I'm going to put the negative 8 here, positive 5 there. Okay? All right, so let's keep going. I'm going to take that same, go back to the X. I'm just going to rewrite it, get it a little clearer. Okay. All right, so we have found the two numbers that work. Now, remember that A is equal to 2. So we have a new step in here called divide and swing. All right, that's going to be our fourth step. Okay, and what we have to do is we're going to divide this 8 and this 5 by A. So since A is equal to 2, I'm going to divide the negative 8 by 2 and the 5 by 2. That's the divide part. Okay, if we divide negative 8 by 2, that's going to give us a negative 4 right here. Okay, if we divide 5 by 2, we're just going to get 5 halves because that's just going to turn into a decimal. So we're going to swing here and we're dividing here. So what do we get? I use this number. That's going to give me X minus 4 for this side. Here I'm going to get something like this. X plus 5 halves. All right, I'm going to swing this. What I mean by swing, I'm going to take the 2 and I'm going to move it over here in front of the X and bring the 5 down. So that's going to give me a result of X minus 4. The 2 becomes a coefficient of X, and I bring the 5 down. And that becomes my answer. So to conclude, if we factored 2x squared minus 3x minus 20, that can be written factored as 2x plus 5 times x minus 4, and that's the end of that example.